sunset live there. You could see the bridge, you could see the sunset over the bay. I'm done with my workout, done with my swim. 49ers rookie minicamp is tomorrow. Robert Saleh is going to speak for the very first time as the 49ers defensive coordinator in his second stint. We're also going to hear from Kubiak, offensive coordinator for the 49ers. That should be fun. Clay Kubiak promoted to his new role. So the two coordinators speak tomorrow. The rookies, all 17 additions for the 49ers here in 2025, are going to be back out or out on the practice field for the 49ers for the first time, back out on a practice field for the first time after the draft process. So good time to answer a lot of your questions. I'm on a stairway here, kind of close to the rooftop, so that's why I'm in a little bit of a unnatural position as we take some of your questions for this live. I want to be close enough to the screen, like I could go down the stairway. I want to be close enough to the screen to where I could see your questions as we go through some of this. I can't wait for Robert Saleh to speak tomorrow. And as you know, I titled this on top of the rookie minicamp, this is the next step in the situation regarding Jake Moody for the 49ers. Kenny Almendarez is going to be maybe just one of the kickers who's out there trying out for the 49ers tomorrow. He's the Lou Groza Award winner. That goes to the best kicker in all of college football. So Kenny Almendarez is going to be at Levi's tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of rookies out there on tryouts for the 49ers, and this is the first step in the Jake Moody offseason competition. Almendarez obviously has got a big leg. He's a big guy. I mean, this is diesel in a kicker. To win the Lou Groza Award, though, he had to do a lot right. Also a big leg for kickoffs. That's somewhere where the 49ers could also use improvement from Jake Moody. We know that they have said they might prefer to sign a veteran, but it could change if they like one of these rookies who comes through. And I know that Kenny Almendarez, the Lou Groza Award winner, is going to highlight that over the course of the next couple days. So maybe we'll have a chance to talk to him. We'll definitely have a chance to talk to the actual rookies whom the 49ers do have signed, who are going to undergo these practices with the 49ers over Thursday and Friday. There will be a physical portion. There'll be an interview portion. There'll also be an on-field practice portion. I think the on-field practice portion, at least for the media, is going to be on Friday. That's the way that it normally works. So we'll get to see these guys in the 49ers uniform for the first time. And then the 49ers will be able to bring the veterans in a little over a week later to the practice field during phase 3, which is OTAs. Right now, the 49ers have nearly perfect attendance of their veterans for phase 2, but phase 3, which actually will allow them to go 11 on 11 on the field, is going to start after the rookies get acclimated with this mini camp. I think that, we talk about some of the kickers who are still out there in veteran free agency. Nick Folk has been the best over the past couple of years, but he's on the wrong side of 40. So the 49ers want to bring in a veteran of that caliber. Does a veteran of that caliber even want to sign with the 49ers, knowing that he's going to be competing for the job with Jake Moody? I think there's still a lot to sort out, but I do think that deadline pressure of OTAs is a real thing for this kicking competition, because if you want to make Moody compete, well, I get it. Games are important, and the preseason games should determine quite a bit here, but I think you want that competition to be as long and as robust as possible. And if that's going to be the case, then you need to have it started by those OTA practices. So use the tryout here, use the whole rookie acclimatization weekend to figure out if you want to sign one of those guys, and if not, then try to get in a veteran by the time that OTAs start. If you don't do that, then the very latest, it has to be preseason for a veteran kicker to come in, because those preseason games are going to be the 49ers' only in-game reference point on Jake Moody, and he definitely needs some competition. I know that we've already heard that from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I know I said I'd also give a Steph Curry prediction. I know everybody's talking about Steph and the Warriors right now, who beat Minnesota pretty bad yesterday, despite the fact that Steph strained his hamstring. I think they're okay. I think, first off, the Warriors beat the Rockets, and all my takes there, I think, aged really well. They were the more skilled team, more superstars, more experienced team. They probably should have taken care of that series before it reached Game 7, but they still took care of that series. This next round, I was watching yesterday, Minnesota does not rebound nearly as well as Houston. So the Warriors already have that advantage. Houston probably defends better than Minnesota as well. Curry's hurt, but the Warriors were still able to get game one. They're saying maybe a week. So say that he's going to come back game 5. All the Warriors have to do is win one of the next 3, and 2 of those come at home, and they're going to be fine. Because if you win one of the next 3, it is 2-2 heading into game 5. Steph is back, and all you have to do is win 2 out of 3 if you are the Golden State Warriors with Steph, and they're going to do that. That's my prediction for Steph Curry. He's going to come back game 5. It's going to be 2-2. Warriors will win 2 of the final 3. I don't know if it will take them all 3 or if they're going to have to push this back to another game 7 and stress everybody out. But I know that's the flavor of the hour, is talking about Steph Curry, and we should. I mean, this is a guy that's going to be talked about with the greats, with Michael Jordan, with Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant. I mean, you're going to talk about the basketball greats. You're going to talk about Steph Curry decades from now. So we should enjoy it while it's here. And I think he's going to be back by game 5. Now, the question is, if they lose the next 2, because they have to win one of the next 3. So if they lose the next 2 and they have to win game 4 to have a realistic shot at this, does Steph come back a little bit early? And the NBA is totally wild because now, like, all these home teams are losing. The Knicks just overcame 2 straight 20-point deficits against the Celtics. So we may have a lot of fun here in the Bay Area with the Golden Gate Bridge behind us as this May progresses. And the 49ers part of it is heating up tomorrow with rookie minicamp. Another basketball game tonight, too, so I don't want to take you guys away from that. So let's answer your questions regarding the 49ers, and let's move on with our lives. I hope you liked all the content from around California. Hope you liked the solar flare of this sunset shot. And we talked about traveling a lot this off season. Well, it's happened. Yosemite. Now we got a surprise coming for you tomorrow at some point once I edit it, Gold Country. It's going to be really good. I got a question. Is Moody still on the team? Yes, he's still on the team, and he shouldn't be off the team until the 49ers find somebody else that they think is going to be better than him at kicker. Bo is saying that his eyes hurt. Yeah, right. Come on, man. You're not actually looking at the sun. You're looking at the sun through a camera. There, you could even look at the Golden Gate Bridge if you want to, if that treats you a little bit better here from the Dolphin Club. Water nice and chilly. Bay looks beautiful. There's a boat going over Alcatraz. I'll spin the camera around in a little bit. Good to be back in San Francisco. Time for a burrito a little bit later tonight. Got a good workout in today. And Proteus West needs more Upton Stout content. All right. I'm going on a little road trip next week, like actually on assignment to specifically get you more Upton Stout content. So stay tuned for that. I think that Upton Stout is the biggest personality out of this entire 49ers draft class. And you know who's going to match really well with is Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator. Because Robert, he's a big personality on the sideline. They have to restrain him on the sideline. So I think Upton Stout, we talk about 49ers wanting scrappy DBs and Robert Saleh going back to that Seattle style defense where those DBs just harassed other teams. Those DBs with Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, those guys were giving opponents trouble physically. I think that the prototype has changed physically, but it hasn't changed when it comes to grit, when it comes to just being a pest of that cornerback position. And I think that Upton Stout is going to be able to do that. He does have a great name. I think he's going to be able to do that at the nickelback position for the 49ers. It's an intriguing pick for sure, because you're looking for somebody who can move really quickly, and typically that means shorter frame, but also is strong enough, even if he's smaller and he's 5'8", 180, strong enough to win. Mano a mano against blocks. I mean, he's going to be playing nickelback. He's going to be close to the box, and I think that Upton Stout, with the 21 bench press reps, most of any DB at the combine, you just watch him. I mean, you don't even have to look at the reps. You watch him and you can see that he plays strong. You can see that he muscles up. He doesn't cower away like a lot of smaller guys would. And it's a smaller league now. So if you can find a guy who's small enough to match up speed-wise, but strong enough to beat the smaller and weaker players, because it's more of a quickness league now, well, you theoretically could have the best of both worlds. And yeah, he was hilarious during the call. So we've got an Upton Stout mission next week. You guys can guess where I'm going to learn a little bit more about Upton Stout. I don't want to spill the beans completely, but you're going to get some exclusive content as I'm on assignment, not to drink any Upton Stout beers, because that sounds like an IPA. It sounds like a stout. But to actually learn about Upton Stout, the defensive back out of Western Kentucky. If you enjoyed his interview, you're going to enjoy a lot more. Why don't you make sure that you subscribe to the channel while you are at it. You guys want to look around here a little bit? Want to see back the other direction here from the rooftop? We can spin this camera around. There is Alcatraz. And here is the full look at the Golden Gate. I might have put the tripod back in because I don't want it to be all shaky. If I put the tripod back in and flip the camera over toward me, we can talk a little bit more. It's kind of cool to see people wanting to talk about both the 49ers and the Warriors because, I mean, that's what it's all about. 49ers in the middle of their offseason right now. People are going to overreact to rookie minicamp. I mean, rookie minicamp is just a practice, right? Especially once we get on the field Friday, it's just a way to allow these rookie players to see how the 49ers run things. Period 1, period 2, period 3. All right, horn blows. You move over from period 4 to period 5. How do they run warm-ups? It's a way for the rookies to get acclimated so that when the veterans come and they run OTA practices, the rookies are one with the team. So nothing more, nothing less out of minicamp. It's going to be fun to talk to these guys in person for the first time. It's going to be fun to talk to Robert Saleh for the first time since he re-signed as the 49ers defensive coordinator. There won't be pads on during this. They're not going to be, tackling or anything really physical. Training camp is when pads come on. They still don't tackle live to the ground at training camp. Those days are in the rearview mirror. So this is going to be just a way for these rookies to get their feet wet. It is a tremendously important rookie class for the 49ers. I mean, 11 players through the draft, 6 more through undrafted free agency, maybe 7 more if they add the kicker through the rookie channel. But I think that they may be leaning a little bit more toward a veteran. But we'll see. We'll see how Kenny Almendarez does. We'll see if there's any other rookies out there tomorrow. Everything can kind of happen at a normal pace right now. We're still months away from the start of the season, months away from training camp, but you've got to get that Jake Moody competition set up if you're the 49ers. You've got to get the rookies' feet wet. You've got to get Robert Saleh reacclimated with a defense that's going to be very different than it was last year. And the 49ers want it to be very different than it was last year because they were terrible on defense last year. So it's exciting times, but I think that the Warriors playing right now and the Giants playing really well too makes it especially fun in San Francisco because, if the Warriors can take us until June, and then if the Giants can take us until October, or at least keep us interested until September, that bridges the gap until the 49ers play an actual game. 49ers will be, the schedule comes out in a week, right? So the 49ers on the 15th, the 14th, we'll know the schedule, May 14th. So the 49ers will play in early September, a real game. So even if you don't care about training camp in July and August, by real September, you're going to have a game. And if the Warriors and the Giants just keep on doing what they're doing, we're going to be able to pass the time until then with the real games, which is why I think that it's important to acknowledge the other sport, especially if other really good stuff is happening over there. Mike says he doesn't watch baseball ever. Not even the playoffs, Mike? What if the Giants are in Game 7 of the World Series? Not going to do that? I mean, fine with me if you don't, but it's all good. Hiram Wallace says that the 49ers should bring in punting competition too. I don't know, where exactly Mitch Wishnowsky is health-wise. They say he's healthy, but I want to see it out on the field. They haven't talked about bringing in competition. If the knee starts bothering him again in training camp, I think you definitely have to have a second punter in the building, the way that they did last year. And if you have a second punter in the building, is that competition? Well, the guy missed half the season last year. Maybe it is. So, yes, the 49ers need Mitch Wishnowsky to be healthier, and they need him to be better than he was over limited action last year. The much more publicized part of this is the kicking competition, though, for San Francisco. Jacob Cowan is in discussions. Jordan Watson, we talked about him from Yosemite. Go and watch that video. I think the most epic background that, I mean, I'm talking right now as we're talking with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, but I think the most epic background that I've ever had. I mean, we've done some good ones in Europe, right? I'm sure we'll do some more in Europe. There have been some cool backgrounds talking 49ers, but Yosemite's on the Mount Rushmore, to name another national park. Yosemite's on the Mount Rushmore of backgrounds for this YouTube channel. If you liked Yosemite, give it a thumbs up. Golden Gate Bridge is good as well, especially since we got sunset here coming up, so we can keep on talking. Wow, the basketball game rolls on. What is it, Denver, Oklahoma City tonight? Could set the table here for the 49ers and their rookie mini camp tomorrow. Mike wants more national parks. So at some point, we're gonna have to do a big national park road trip, because a lot of those parks, the spectacular ones on the western US, you can really only do by driving a car. You can't like fly an Uber, because you're gonna be Ubering 2 or 3 hours. Yosemite was awesome. Take us out to Alcatraz next time. Well, speaking of Alcatraz, there's a boat going in front of it, right here. So I'm swimming Alcatraz coming up at the end of the month. That's gonna be sweet. So maybe we can take you out to Alcatraz there. So I hope you guys know that there's a standing deal that if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, before or around the parade, we are doing a live stream where I'll be talking about the Niners on the way out to Alcatraz on the boat, and then I'm gonna hop in and I'm gonna swim all the way back to the city, to here, where I'm at right now. Mike is asking me, what do I wanna see from rookie minicamp? I wanna see nobody get hurt, nobody get fined. Remember a couple years ago, Deommodore Lenoir, it was 2021 when he got drafted, put a video of himself up on social media, too much contact. You're technically not allowed. The contact is not something that should be happening at minicamp. So I don't want to see people get fined because of questionable decisions like that. But that showed us that Demo was a dog. I wouldn't be surprised if Upton Stout was so excited that he did the same thing at this minicamp. But you just want to get through with no injuries, and you want to see guys acclimate. I want to talk to guys. And I don't want things to be dramatic, you know. We'll pivot this to how people are going to cover this. Everything's going to be too dramatic because people are probably upset they don't get enough views on their YouTube channel, so they're going to try to create drama out of the rookie mini camp, and you know, it's just going to be kind of a joke, and it always is. I'd like to see some mature coverage of the rookie mini camp from others. See if they're capable of it. So far, they haven't shown that, but maybe they are. It would be a pleasant surprise if that did happen over the course of the next couple days. Let's toss in those questions, guys. What's for dinner tonight? There's been some good food featured lately. The Golden State Valkyries, when did they play their first game? Was that this? I was out of the city. I know they're playing at Chase Center. Was that first game last night? Were they playing while the Warriors were in Minnesota? That's cool. So that season is about to get started. So there's a lot going on sports-wise. Invader 49er says Spencer Burford, swing tackle. Well, I think Spencer is going to be competing with DJ Humphries for swing tackle. DJ was a Pro Bowl tackle years ago, and he was a really good tackle up until he tore his ACL, which was, a year and a half ago at this point? He wasn't so good for the Chiefs last year, but he was still coming back from the torn ACL. So if DJ can just show that he's recovered more fully from the torn ACL, that he just needed some time last year to knock off the rust, he could win that job. But Spencer played much better at tackle than he did at guard for the 49ers, so he could win that job, or San Francisco as well. Mike says that there are no contract details for DJ Humphries yet, but I think this is going to be a prove-it deal. How do I feel about seeing Purdy and McCaffrey? Well, Mike put up a short today where those guys were both on the practice field. CMC, fully healthy, hungry. Brock Purdy, definitely hungry. We'll talk a little bit about his contract tomorrow. I got the video from Gold Country coming up. I got to edit it. I'm going to do a good job with this one. Those of you up in the 209 Gold Country, above Stockton, Angels Camp, Columbia, Sonora, you have a treat coming for you. Probably tomorrow when I'm done with that. Christian McCaffrey is going to be a star. When I was at the owners' meetings in Florida, the 49ers people, the high-level 49ers people, the talk is about Christian McCaffrey and how he's going to be a difference maker for this team. And we all know that he's going to be a difference maker for this team. I don't think that that's a particularly controversial take. Some people assumed that his career was over last year, and because they reported on that situation so inaccurately, it's almost like they're hoping that Christian McCaffrey is not back this year. But that's their own fault. They were clickbaiting last year. They didn't have the actual information. They didn't speak to Christian himself. I spoke to Christian himself throughout the entire process last season. I didn't clickbait. I reported it accurately, and it's not that hard to look smart. It's not that hard to be correct about the whole situation. So I think a lot of people who reported it incorrectly are rooting against McCaffrey, just so they don't look as bad. But the truth of the matter is that he's fully healed from the Achilles injury, kind of like how George Kittle fully healed from the same bilateral Achilles problems a few years ago. We made a whole video on that. Kittle got the stem cell treatment. We're not exactly sure what McCaffrey did, but McCaffrey made sure to heal from that, suffered a separate knee injury. He is fully healthy from that, and he might be the most impactful player in the NFL again outside the quarterback position this next year. What I want to hear from Saleh tomorrow. Robert Saleh will be speaking for the first time since re-signing as the 49ers defensive coordinator. I cannot wait to ask Saleh how much he learned in New York with different personnel, different situation, and how that might affect him schematically in as far as, what is Robert Saleh going to do differently, maybe from a blitzing perspective. I don't expect him to answer the question in full detail, but I think we'll get some hints as to how he might change his philosophy moving forward. I fully expect him to continue running a 4-3, continue running a lot of zone cover 3. The 49ers drafted for that, right? But they also drafted differently than they had in previous years as far as the exact physical specifications of the defense. So, they've always liked the tall defensive line. They're doubling down on that. They're going back to the tall defensive line with the one technique, stout, fire hydrant type and CJ West. But Alfred Collins is tall. Mykel Williams is tall. Nick Bosa's Nick Bosa. Saleh worked with him before. So that's a given. But they're going for more speed. They're going for these cannonballs on the back end. Guys who aren't particularly big. We talked about Upton Stout at 5'8", but really strong. And he's just a vicious hitter. Nick Martin, the linebacker, same thing. Dre Greenlaw was cut from that cloth, but Martin might be a little bit smaller and a little bit faster. The cornerbacks aren't these 6'3" behemoths for the 49ers anymore. They're going a little bit smaller at corner, but they're going for dogs. And Deommodore Lenoir and Renardo Green definitely fit in. We'll see how Upton Stout fits in with them. We'll see how Trey Brown, the former Seattle Seahawk, fits in with them. So where exactly has Robert Saleh's mind evolved as a defensive coordinator to make the 49ers so confident that a tall defensive line filled with these fast, aggressive back seven players, not just DBs, linebackers and versatile DBs, how will he be able to make best use of it as a defensive coordinator for the 49ers? I can't wait to just talk some philosophy with Robert Saleh, because he can't tell you what he's going to call on 3rd and 6 against Seattle in Week 9 this year. Nobody can talk in those many specifics, but we can talk about general philosophy, because I think that Robert, he blitzed a little bit more in a couple of his years with the Jets when he had to. And obviously he's picked up some new ideas over the years. Well, what's the gist of some of those ideas? What are his thoughts? He was one of the most averse to blitzing out of any defensive coordinator in football during his first run with the 49ers. Where's it going to be now that he's in his second run? He's watched the D'Amico Ryans defenses. Where's Drake Jackson at? We did the big update on Drake Jackson the other day, who posted on social media that he's going to wreak havoc this year. How's Drake Jackson potentially going to fit in? The 49ers right now are a pure power rush setup based on their proven players and on their draft picks that we expect to play a lot this year. So a power rush setup without a proven speed rusher, with Drake Jackson still a big question for this team. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to fit into that speed rushing role? How is Saleh going to compensate for that? How is he going to work with Chris Kasarik? Those are all things I want to ask Robert Saleh tomorrow. Probably won't be able to ask everything, but we're going to get our first look at this defensive coordinator, first talk with this defensive coordinator since he rejoined the 49ers. Robert Saleh, term 2 for San Francisco. Saleh 2. It's going to be super fun. Cannot wait to get into some of this. All right, any more questions? Sunset over the Golden Gate Bridge. The wind is blowing, but the mic is quality. Hopefully we can push this through until that sun goes behind Hawk Hill over there. Post your questions. If you guys like the watch, give me a thumbs up. I'm in this awkward position on the steps right now, so you guys get more of the watch than you usually do. But you also get that Golden Gate Bridge. What will Saleh's tenure be, Saleh 2.0, be with the 49ers? But are you asking like how long is it going to be? Probably, I mean, most likely it's 2 years. If it goes really well, it could only be 1 year, but I think most likely 2 years, and then Robert Saleh may get another head coaching shot. And, you know, you ultimately you want guys to be promoted. That's what built Bill Walsh so much success. It was a huge component of that. He was a huge advocate of that, and it's also what Kyle Shanahan wants out of this football team. Doesn't want coaches to just sit around for 10 years. That means they're not doing a good job. You want other teams to take your coaching talent. The watch is an Oris. That's the brand of the watch. I know it's upside down right there, but it's an Oris. Will Kubiak have any input as offensive coordinator? I hope he has input. He's the offensive coordinator. They trusted him enough to promote him to offensive coordinator. So I would hope that he's got good input for Kyle Shanahan. Guys, just because Shanahan officially calls the plays doesn't mean that he's the only one designing these game plans and making critical decisions for the 49ers. He might make the actual call, but you have to study the defense. You have to study your own personnel. You have to design the plays. There's a lot that goes into this beyond just play calling, and it takes a lot of guys. And Kubiak, Clay Kubiak, is the 49ers' first officially named offensive coordinator since Mike McDaniel was around in 2021. It means that he has to deal with the media, has to do press conferences, but that also puts Kubiak on a potential head coaching track because that's part of the job for head coaches. So McDaniel did pressers to prepare him for the Miami job in 21. Kubiak will do his first presser as offensive coordinator tomorrow. And Robert Saleh will do his first presser since re-signing with the 49ers tomorrow. Chris Foerster probably won't be doing pressers anymore this year because even though he technically got promoted to assistant head coach, there is now an offensive coordinator to be able to speak for the offense outside of Kyle Shanahan, and that is Clay Kubiak. What do I think the 49ers will rank against the pass this year on defense? Well, that's a tough question. I'm not going to do raw yardage. I'll say EPA per play or DVOA. I think they'll be a top 10 pass defense. I think that they've got two really good cornerbacks in Lenore and Renardo Green, but it's all going to depend on how well they stop the run. If you can't stop the run, the pass defense is going to suffer, no matter who you have back there. And I think that will improve. I think Robert Saleh will help them. I think they'll be borderline number 10 against the pass. If they can get this defense to just be middle of the pack, like number 18 against the run, I get that it's probably going to be a process for the 49ers in that regard, but number 18 against the run, number 10 against the pass, number 14 overall, somewhere around there. It's going to be much, much better than last year. And against the worst schedule in the NFL, like the easiest schedule, could be something that allows the 49ers to just plow right into the playoffs. Mike says I need to go to Australia. We got some friends in Perth, Australia. They might be watching. We would definitely do a show from Australia if we went there, although the time change might be a little bit challenging. It's like a totally different day most of the time in Australia. How will the 49ers special teams rank? I would hope not number 32 after they clean so much house there. A lot of that will depend on how well they kick next year. Jake Moody will be in a competition. We'll see who they bring in to compete with him. It's going to be fascinating stuff for San Francisco over the course of the next few months. All right, guys. Let's hold this up. Let's take another look at the Golden Gate Bridge. We're having fun today. This is a cool show. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I could even put this down tripod style so we could, oh look, the bird in front of it. Is the wind bugging you guys? Because it's blowing now directly at me. I think the mic might handle it okay, but could be a little bit of a problem. I'm using a DJI mic. It's a really good mic. So now I'm facing this way. It's actually better lighting this way, except for the shadow of my phone. I think that because of that, I'm just gonna show you guys the Golden Gate Bridge as we talk. I mean, it is sunset, so it doesn't get much better than that. Thank you, Jose. That's a really nice comment. I mean, yeah, Mike is awesome. Producer Mike, DJI mic that I have right here is also unbelievable. I just got like a little windsock on the mic. I'll show you guys my setup right here. I'll hold it in front of the camera. If you guys are curious as to how these videos work, I feel that the hardcore fans are watching right now. Here's the mic. Don't want to drop this though. See, it says DJI. Hello, there it is. So I could talk to the mic right now. I'm holding it actually. Maybe that mitigates the wind even more. Golden Gate Sunset Show. I'm not leaving you guys until that sun dips down under what you're seeing. That's the Marin Headlands. You can actually cross the Golden Gate Bridge and drive up to the top of that hill where the sun is setting. And it's one of the most beautiful views of San Francisco. Somebody's saying that they're surprised I don't have more likes. Thanks for the super chat. IT says that. I think that you know, we need more likes. I think that right now it's the football off season. I think people are worried about the Warriors a little bit more, but if you guys are watching, support the show, drop a like. Super chats are great too, but drop a like, drop a comment, share the show, tell people to watch. Where else are people getting sunset views of the Golden Gate as we talk about the 49ers? And become a member. You could become a Lombardi Trophy member too. Mike said that. Memberships are now open here on the YouTube channel. If the 49ers won the Super Bowl, how about doing a video up here around sunset? Well, 49ers haven't won the Super Bowl. I'm doing a video up here during OTAs, or not even OTAs, at a rookie minicamp. We got to do something a little bit more epic if they win the Super Bowl, which is why we've got the Alcatraz idea. Right there. We will swim from Alcatraz on a live stream. The phone, the camera will be on the boat from that island over there, the former prison, all the way into here. And this, I don't want to drop my phone over into the bay right now, so I'm being really careful. We'll swim all the way into the opening right there. Do you guys see the opening of the bay into the cove? A little bit more protected by the wind. And we'll have the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Now, we need to keep the camera here because we're about to see sunset. So hold on. All right, there we go. It's a little shaky right now. Hold on. So this is not easy. There. That's a lot better. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, the parade is happening in Santa Clara. That's not true. I just saw that comment. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, the parade is going to be happening in San Francisco. They even had plans last time. They were getting San Francisco ready for that parade. The Lombardi Yacht Club. All right, good 49ers questions. Let's go. Robert Ballard asks, Greasy is no longer the 49ers QB coach? Will Mick Lombardi do a good job? Well, I know that Mick Lombardi was with Tom Brady, Tom's last season in New England. So that's worth something. I know that Mick is probably going to be a more schematically oriented quarterbacks coach. Brian Griese was the right quarterbacks coach at the right time for Brock Purdy early in his career, and for Sam Darnold at that point in his career. Those guys really needed to hear from a former successful quarterback, somebody who brings real-world experience from the position as to how to handle the rigors of the quarterback position. I think that it helped Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold tremendously to have Brian Griese as their quarterbacks coach over the past few seasons. I think that now the 49ers look at Purdy and say, and Shanahan says this, it's time to take this to the next level as far as his schematic integration with the offense, because he already knows how to handle the NFL from a QB mentality setup. Now he needs to get his PhD in the schematic aspect of things, and I think that's where Mick Lombardi is going to be able to help the 49ers and Brock Purdy take the next step. I'm getting cold up here, guys. This is going to make me hungry. I can't wait to get to probably Taqueria Cancun tonight. I promise that I'm sticking with you until that sun disappears and it's almost gone. What are my thoughts about the Pickens trade to Dallas? Mike, what do you think about the Pickens trade to Dallas? Mike thinks that Dallas is having a low-key, decent offseason. I know that George Pickens is really talented. I also know that he might be a little bit of a head case. I think the 49ers might have been interested in picking him up, though, last year when they were talking to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's basically just a one-year bet on George Pickens, Mike says. And if it doesn't work out, you can just let him walk after. We know that he's talented, and we know that they need to take some pressure off of CeeDee Lamb. And you know, the Cowboys, it's just been this team on a treadmill for so long. So they're taking some swings. It's a guy that has a high ceiling. And CeeDee's production, as we just had a commenter say, might go up even more now with another weapon to take away some defensive attention. Monty says the Giants beat the Cubs. Yeah, 2 out of 3. It's a good time in the Bay Area. We can watch the sunset over the Golden Gate Bridge. We can talk about the Giants beating the Cubs. We can talk about the Warriors. I think my prediction for the Warriors is that Steph Curry is going to be back Game 5. The Warriors will win 1 of the next 3. It's going to be 2-2. Steph is going to come back, and they're going to win 2 of the final 3. They'll win either on their home floor in Game 6 or in Minnesota Game 7, because Steph is one of the all-time greats. My prediction for the Rockets series was good, so why don't I toss one up here for this next one? Over under Nick Bosa 10 sacks. I think it's going to be a big year for Nick. I think he's finally got a bookend now in Mykel Williams. Now, I think they could still use some speed rushing productivity. Maybe Drake Jackson can give it to him. Maybe Robert Beal takes another step. But I think that if there is a complement to Nick Bosa on the other side, and if the 49ers do better than they did last year against the run, I think that Nick is going to go over 10 sacks this year. Mike says the over-under should be 12.5 for Nick Bosa. 12 point, all right, that's fair. 12.5. I think definitely over 10 sacks for Nick. You guys hear the seagulls? It's pretty cool. See that sunset? Isn't it unbelievable? Like I can't believe that I swim in that water when I look at it. Like, and I'm not in it. It's like, oh my goodness. I see a swimmer there on the camera right now. You're out there, you're alone. Now, there have been times when I've swum in this water. I've started at this time, but then it's completely dark by the time I'm out. And the only way that I make it back to here, where I'm at, on shore, is by looking at the city skyline. And here, I'll show you guys what I mean. I'm trying to zoom out. There we go. The only way that I make it back to that pier is because when you're in the water, you can see the Transamerica Pyramid and the Salesforce Tower all lit up. It's the only way. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble. So I use the skyscrapers as my guiding light. I've never seen a shark swimming in the bay. I know they're around me, but I've never seen one. All right, we're back on the sunset. I mean, it just gets prettier and prettier. I said that I would stay here until the sun disappeared beyond the hills. I guess I might have to stay here a little bit longer. A couple more questions would be very much appreciated. I'm using my iPhone camera. We're streaming live from my iPhone with a little mini tripod. The 49ers, of course, they have a legitimate chance to go to the Super Bowl. You're not delusional, Automatic. Automatic's a funny name since we've got the Bay in front of us. They've got several future Hall of Fame players on this team. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Fred Warner. They've got at least 4 future Hall of Famers on this team. Any team with that core has a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And the question is, how will that core be fortified by spots 5 to 53? The NFL draft was huge in that regard. Health of veterans, role players is going to be huge in that regard. But they have a chance. They absolutely have a chance. And, you know, one of the key variables, obviously, is the QB. They have the QB in Brock Purdy. So they have the future Hall of Famers. They have the QB. The QB is going to try to play his way into future Hall of Fame status yet. He obviously isn't there yet, but he's a good player. And that's all you can ask for in professional sports. That's where the 49ers are at. They do have an offensive line, guys. Somebody says they need an offensive line for a Super Bowl. The offensive line they have right now was good enough to win the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. If a punt doesn't hit off of Darrell Luter Jr.'s leg, if Christian McCaffrey doesn't fumble, I think we're talking about the 49ers as Super Bowl winners. If Dre Greenlaw doesn't snap his Achilles walking onto the field, I'm not saying this offensive line is great, and I've been the first to say that it needs some improvements. But even that offensive line, which wasn't very good in 2023, was good enough to win a Super Bowl. And it's better than it was in 2023. They put up a better year in 2024. So, yes, they're going to try to continue improving that position. They need a long-term plan for that position. But let's not act like the 49ers weren't a couple fluky plays away from winning it all a couple years ago. All right, guys, I think this is a good finish. I think this is the nicest the sunset's going to look. Everybody, thank you for joining. Let me flip this around. I think that we'll finish it on the Golden Gate look, but I've just been talking into the mic here. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button on the channel. I think that we're the only ones doing this. And the Yosemite video, go watch that if you haven't seen it yet. Go check that out. You could support the channel by hitting like, hitting subscribe, and signing up as a member, because more of this will be coming over the course of the next several months. 49ers Rookie Minicamp is tomorrow. That is your preview for Rookie Minicamp. It's going to be fun to meet all these rookies and to move forward into the 49ers offseason. Mike says that Brock Purdy is plus 3,500 for MVP. That's your closing thought as we take a look at the Golden Gate sunset.